Welcome to WP-Tonic, episode 136. And today we're doing a wrap-up of the Sacramento WordCamp 2016, which myself, Jonathan, Kim, and Sallie were all in attendance and representing the WP-Tonic posse. So with that, I would love for the panel to introduce themselves. Sallie.
Sure. My name is Sallie Getch. My business is WP Fangirl. I'm the organizer of the East Bay WordPress meetup in Oakland, California, and this was my third time speaking at a WordCamp.
Very good. Kim.
I'm Kim Shivler. I teach people how to build online learning platforms, and this was my fourth time speaking at a WordCamp.
Very nice.
I'm trying to
Jonathan.
become Niall Flores. She's spoken at like 30 of them or something.
That's too much travel
blondish.
for me.
Yeah, blondish.
Yeah. JD, the man. Who are you?
JD, the man. I love it. I'm Jonathan Denwood. I'm the founder of WP-Tonic. WP-Tonic help designers, consultants. If you've got a project that you need building out, you can give it to us, and we will help you code it up. And also we help businesses. If you've got a membership site, a WooCommerce site, and you're looking for a consistent partner that you can trust, we will monthly help you with code changes and keep the site secure and maintained. So they're the main areas of WP-Tonic, John.
Very good. And I am John Locke. My business is Lockdown Design, and I help people, with WordPress sites, specifically with local SEO and WooCommerce. And before we get into today's main topic, we had a couple really quick news stories from the world of WordPress. And our first one was from, I'm going to butcher his name, but SanJeev Mishra. And he was the organizer of WordCamp Nashik 2016, which is in India, which is a tier 3 city. And this article was 25 things I learned as an organizer of a WordCamp. And we'll just go around the panel. Sallie, what were some of the things that stood out to you in this article?
I was interested in the fact that he starts with the importance of having a meetup that meets regularly and gets regular attendance. Because you're really not going to have the basis for a WordCamp if you haven't got a local community that you can connect to.
No, most definitely, and I do agree with that. I think the success of the WordCamp really starts with having a lot of people show up to the meetup and being consistent with that. You're not going to get a big local turnout unless you have that foundation already built. Anything else from this article that really just stood out to you, or?
Well, it's sort of like when you read it, it looks like, well, that's all kind of common sense, except that until you've done it, there may well be parts of it that you're going to forget, and I do think that one of those things that people often overlook is his number 4 on note down your goals, and pay attention to those, because otherwise it may be tough to measure your success.
Yeah, definitely. Kim, what were your thoughts on this article?
Hold on. I think I grabbed the wrong one.
Do you want me to jump in, John?
Yeah, let Jonathan go.
Jonathan,
I grabbed the wrong article.
Yeah. I thought I agree with Sallie. A lot of it's common sense, but I think one thing, and I'm rereading it again because it's been a busy weekend, folks. So I'm rereading it and I don't see it. One thing that really struck out about the Sacramento WordCamp is that they had people around the parking areas actually helping people. And what tends to happen, folks, is a lot, not always, but a lot of these WordCamps are held on university campuses, and they're held over the weekends. So nobody's around. There's normally multiple car parks, it tends to look all the same, and you're getting a lot of people turning up that don't know it, haven't been to the campus before. So there's an enormous opportunity to get totally lost. And normally when you start asking students who are around for some reason over the weekend, they tend not to understand the word that you're saying. So having really good signage and then enforcing it with volunteers that can actually show people where they should park is a really great way of starting the weekend on the right step, rather than getting a load of people who are really frustrated. And I've got to say, when it came to Sacramento, they had a lot of volunteers out there trying to show people where they should park, John.
And the volunteers, I would like to just say a couple things really quick before I kick it back over to Kim. But you know, a couple things that SanJeev points out in this article from his own WordCamp that I saw a parallel in the Sacramento WordCamp is, you know, your lead organizer is important, like, you know, how organized they are. I don't want to just acknowledge Jennifer Bourne did a great job. She knocked it out of the park. She, you know, planning, execution, organizing. You know, she did a great job, you know, getting the whole thing organized.
I would totally agree. Jennifer did you know, obviously she was a member of a team, but obviously she was the lead. Yeah. And it was one of the best organised WordCamps that I've been to.
Jennifer is just ferociously organized. I was really impressed with, you know, how well Sacramento did their first, you know, their very first WordCamp. You'd never known it was the first one if somebody hadn't told you.
Yeah, I haven't been to a lot of WordCamps, so I can't really, you know, judge like what's good or bad. I also want to like acknowledge like our volunteer team, and a lot of that comes back to what you said, Sallie, that if you've got, you know, if you've built that foundation with the meetup, which, you know, we have now for about 3 years since like this meetup relaunched here in Sacramento, you'll have like a volunteer team, because I see the same people. You know, there are people that you know, no one is going to know outside of Sacramento. But I know these people, and you know, they are really just, you know, the backbone of the meetup is all these people that show up. A lot of the people that you saw volunteering, you know, and you know, a lot of it starts right there. But yeah, definitely. A lot of it is just planning like stuff out. Like give yourself a lot more time than you think you're going to need. Kim, you know, what were your big takeaways from this article? And
I would agree with Jonathan on the signage and having people out to answer questions, and Sacramento did that really, really well. I have spoken at camps, gone to camps, volunteered at camps, and even sponsored camps twice. And one year they had, well, not throw anyone under the bus, but they had changed venues. There was no signage. Several of us as sponsors are walking around and around the building, not even sure on the outside where we were supposed to go, was it the right building, and how to get in. Because it was kind of a locked down office type.
It's not the best start, is it?
No, so
that sounds very frustrating.
This one was, I mean, you know, it was, the signage was there. It was easy to find. Then there were 2 people standing out front to help you get in, find where to pay to park, because you know, the payment thing was way in the middle, and I thought they did that well. You know, he pointed out picking a lead organizer, and obviously you guys did that beautifully with Jennifer, because it really was. And then Jen, as speaker wrangler, I think I emailed her several times saying, I appreciate you. I just appreciate you, because we knew always, at least I felt, I always knew when I was supposed to be there, where I was supposed to be, what I was supposed to be doing. And it wasn't one of these like, well, am I really speaking tomorrow? Because no one's talked to me yet.
Yeah,
which has happened before.
And I do want to like recognize Jen Meyer as well. She was part of the organizing team last year. She's a student at the Art Institute here in Sacramento, and she did a phenomenal job of being the speaker wrangler. And I think, you know, definitely.
Yeah, I think. I'm sorry, John. I also think a lot of organisers probably not. It's not in this article piece either. If you are organising a WordCamp and you can link up with a local course in graphic design or development, and get the support of some of the instructors or professors, and get some of those students to come on board as volunteers, and that it really will help the organising of the event, won't it, John?
Definitely, yeah. And we were blessed last year. Our lead organizer was William Mead, who teaches graphic design, web design, like at the Art Institute, and he was part of the team again this year. So we have like a lot of people who are volunteers who are part of that Art Institute of Sacramento lineage. So that definitely helps. Some other things that he highlighted in this article too was, select the right amount of speakers. You try and make it like 60-40 with new speakers versus established speakers, but be selective. We tossed out probably about like 15 talks because we just had so many people submitting. But I think the ones that made the final cut were excellent. Thought it was really good. One thing that I was, I'll touch on this later too, but just getting the community involved, trying to get sponsors like as early as possible beyond the global sponsors. Definitely, get all that, squared away as soon as possible. And, plan out the number of attendees that's going to be, and then keep that number.
Yeah.
Definitely. Don't make it bigger or smaller, just keep that number.
Another thing which I've never seen, and it's probably down to resources and time and that, but if you are blessed with a lot of applications, I personally try and get some voting system, get them online as quick as possible, and just ask people, who do you want to see off this list? Vote for the ones that you want. But I would imagine that would cause a lot of extra work also.
Well, I can tell you why they don't do it like that, probably, because it pretty much came down to the organizing team, we kind of they had them separated out kind of into different tracks, development, design, content, business, and then we all kind of, there was ones that we all agreed on like right away, and then we kind of went through round two, and then kind of got everything in place. Part of it is getting the right mix of what type of tracks you want. You don't want to have too many. You don't want to have it all be advanced. You don't want to have it all be beginner. You got to have a right mix. So, but if you put it online for people to vote on, they would vote for people that are already established.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So, and I think with the local WordCamps, at least what I like about them is you want to put the spotlight on the people who have not had a chance to speak before, and put the spotlight on the people in the community. And that's, part of what I think makes the WordPress community a little bit unique among the web is, you're putting the spotlight on, other people to build them up and get the whole community involved. And that's something that we're really going for going forward is get more of the local web community involved with the WordCamp in 2017.
I think that's great, John. Shall we go on to the next story?
Yeah, next story. So miraculously, it seems like the WP REST API content endpoints are going to be merged in WordPress 4.7, which means that this project is kind of on track. I know that this has been a long promised game changer that is going to allow more people to do things with WordPress, even people who like program in other languages and stuff like that. And it's just going to open it up to more and more stuff. But the REST API has just been a kind of an ongoing project. This is kind of exciting news. What are your thoughts on this, Sallie?
Well, I suppose I would be more excited about it if I was better at JavaScript. Uh, but it is, I think in principle, whether or not it becomes something, I jump into quickly or not, I think it is an important step for WordPress because it, as you say, it opens it up to more people. It actually creates the possibility of being just a front end developer for WordPress, and for possibly using WordPress to power a number of different things, which we know is definitely on Matt Mullenweg's agenda, the application platform thing. And we'll have to see. Apparently, there've been a bunch of reasons why it's taken a long time and been contentious and difficult, and there are arguments for including it automatically and for making it an add-on. But I think that whichever way you go, having a well-developed API is going to be important.
Definitely. Kim, what are your thoughts? Are you excited by this news?
It doesn't really affect me personally. At the level of development I do now, it's not going to be part of that. But I agree with Sallie. It's having a strong API. If you want to expand your software and have it out there, it's important because it opens it up to other developers who like to do the kind of things I don't want to do.
I 100% agree with that. Jonathan,
Well,
any thoughts?
I think it's a really big milestone in various reasons. I think to utilize WordPress with a mobile app was quite difficult. When you approached if you're looking to develop an app, and I've got some active experience with this. When you approached an app developer and said that the core data was inside WordPress, you just kind of heard silence on the phone line, because actually communicating was possible, but there were quite sizable technical difficulties, and this was increasingly becoming a problem. Also, go back to the Mac report and his interview with Rachel Baker, who was one of the key developers in the WordPress community. For the Restless API, it was sounding a bit of a sorry situation, and I'm just happy for Rachel and her group that she worked with that contributed a lot to developing the Restless API, and to see it actually fulfilling its promise and becoming part of core, and dealing with some of the issues that she goes in quite some detail in the interview is just great, isn't it, John?
Oh no, it's definitely great. I think it's, like has been mentioned, I think it's going to bring more developers into working with WordPress that maybe before would have written it off. And I think that will make the overall project better. I think that it's going to allow more people to use WordPress as maybe just like a content database, and pull that information into things like mobile applications, and various other things like that. So I think this is good. I think this is going to end up being, maybe one of the really big turning points of WordPress, kind of like custom post types was, but maybe even bigger, but, we'll see. But definitely I think it is exciting news. So
just to finish off, John, I just know from my own experience with the SaaS application that I have developed, or have been project manager, and I've had a good crew of developers that have helped me, bless their hearts, is that at some stage we were looking at an app. I'm not going to do that for the foreseeable future, but it really was, when you talk to people outside the WordPress community that were full stack developers, that also people were involved in the development of Android, or we were just looking at their iPhone. when you mentioned WordPress, it wasn't going to happen, John, and it's a major problem, which obviously I'm not a skilled back-end WordPress developer. I cannot done more things than most people realise, actually, but that's a major problem. It was hurting the credibility of WordPress quite considerably in that kind of higher echelon or full stack developer community. And I think a lot of that damage hopefully is going to be repaired, and I think it's going to be very beneficial to the WordPress community, John.
Yeah, most definitely. We're going to go ahead and go to our main topic after this break here, which is recapping Sacramento WordCamp 2016. We'll see you after the break. We're coming back from the break, and this is WP-Tonic episode 136. We're discussing WordCamp 2016 at Sacramento, which all of us were there. I was part of the organizing team, and Jonathan, Kim, and Sallie all had presentations there. So, Sallie, I'll just start with you. What was your presentation? And were there any other presentations that you saw that you were enthusiastic about?
My presentation was falling in love with Flexbox, aimed at making people's lives easier, and I get the impression that indeed many people were going to go forth and work with Flexbox and have a better time doing responsive design. I enjoyed James Sipkin's talk about profitability, always an important subject, and I went to Dawn Peterson's talk on content-centered design, and I also went to a presentation on developer-centered design and on atomic design. And all of these things actually play into each other pretty well and into the SaaS talk, and then wrapped up the event with Anka Moshoyu's talk on WordPress in the enterprise, which was very interesting from the perspective of what you have to consider if you actually want to be working with a large enterprise.
Most definitely. I did see your talk. I thought it was great. Well, I saw all your three guys' talks. Definitely, I thought yours was really good. A lot of people were, taking notes. They were talking about it. They were, a lot of people did leave, and they were saying they were going to start using Flexbox as well. Kim, tell us a little bit about your talk, and tell us about any other presentations you saw that you thought were amazing.
So my talk was about building online learning platforms, so extending beyond just the online course into a full platform to better engage your audience. And my other ones that I went to see, and I don't go see a lot of presentations. I saw Sallie's. It was wonderful. I see myself using Flexbox even with the level of programming I do now. It's definitely something I'll use. I think not just that, Sallie, you are one of the best technical presenters who can hardcore knock down the technology and do it in an interesting way that even my mother would have been able to sit there and get something out of it. So I've heard you speak twice now, and I will be there every time you're speaking if I can. The other ones I saw Chris Lemma, and of course he's always interesting. And one other that I forgot the name of, but was also very good. But the rest of the time, I don't go see many presentations. I'll watch them on WordPress TV. I go to make the connections, to sit with people and talk with people and connect with people. And, I connected with some of the vendors and now have follow-up steps. I always create a membership area for people who come to see me. So I was doing a lot of follow-up support with people who had seen the presentation. I did learn that people don't recognize me if I go from day one with my tuxedo uniform and my straight hair, which is how I present, and then the next day I have my hair curly and I'm wearing my WordCamp t-shirt, people don't recognize me. So I may have to change that up. John, you were there that one time when you were talking about Buddy Press, and I walked up and she turned to me and she said, "The lady teaching yesterday talked about this." And I said, "That was me."
I tell you what, you will never have this problem if you color your hair something really unique.
I bet that should be true, Sallie. It was funny. I may have to do something like that. But that was my real, and that's always my takeaway with WordCamps. Actually, with any conference, is go and connect with people and follow up, because the long-term success is in the relationships, right? I mean, that's how I'm here, Jonathan, because you saw me at a WordCamp and we connected and kept up that relationship.
Yes. Yeah, I thought. Go on, John.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I thought it was just great, but I do agree with Kim. You know, I went the other route. I normally do what Kim does. I don't actually go to too many of the presentations, but I looked at the list, and the quality was so. There was a lot of things that I just wanted to see. I just attended the Saturday, I've got to admit, because I had quite a few things to sort out on Sunday. So I missed Sallie, but I did go to your slide deck, and it was a shame that I couldn't stay the Sunday. I thought by the quality of the slide deck, I thought you did amazing. It must have been an amazing presentation. I thought Chris Lemmer did a really excellent job. It's not easy. I know he's very, very experienced at this, but I was actually quite impressed with his presentation in it, which was part of the started it with there was another presentation going at the same time. But I was impressed with what Chris said, and the reality of building up a online property that has real worth, and it gave real insight out into the amount of work that is involved in that. And then I really was, I didn't know much about it, but I thought Kerry Ford did a really excellent job with atomic design. And I'm not sure. I think it's really important when it comes to. She agreed that it was a question I asked her, and she agreed that one of the benefits of using atomic design is it kind of really enforces that mobile has to come first. And if you learn about atomic design and apply it, it really encourages the process of making mobile design with the client and yourself the number one, instead of going to the desktop, which I think is important. I really also enjoyed Beaver Builder with Justin. What him and his team have achieved with Beaver Builder and their plans with version 2 is quite eye-opening, and you've got to give them full credit for what technically they've been able to achieve and what their plans are in the near future. I think Beaver Builder 2 is coming out, based on what he said, in the first quarter of the new year, and it looks like it's going to be quite a kind of amazing project, John. Then I kind of stayed on, and Aussie Rodriguez,
Rodriguez.
Yeah, sorry, Aussie. He's kind of a bit of a legend in the Genesis development world, and I've seen some of his work, and he is a pretty cool cat, isn't he, John?
Almost definitely, yeah. We've seen some of his work.
And I really enjoyed his discussion, about what you need to provide if you're a designer consultant or somebody in the development team, and you're handing it over to a bit experienced developer like Ozzy. And because I've been there myself, and I think we all have been there, where we've just been thrown something and you did your best, and then you start getting attacked, and you know, you don't really know what to say. Because it's so tempting to say, well, because you never really gave very detailed notes, and we had to surmise most of this. And finish off, the last one I saw before I went back to Northern Nevada was Loops and WP Query by Michelle. I thought that was really good quality presentation. And
He did that really well.
Yeah, and then I disappeared, didn't I, John?
Yeah, and then you were outie.
I was gone.
Yeah. Yes,
Like
I mean, you know, 99 bottles of beer on the wall for explaining the WP query was just a brilliant way to do it. You know, again, it's kind of back to what Kim said about, you know, so that your mother could understand it. And you know, it's not that I didn't know anything about those things before, but just thinking about, yeah, that's just such a good way to think about it. And it was, you know, it was very well done. And then the other thing that I want to mention is I spent an hour at the happiness bar, which is something I like to do partly to make sure that anybody else who has questions after my talk, you know, can find me to ask them, and partly because I just like to do it. And you know, you learn stuff from the questions people ask you. And one of the interesting ones to me was somebody who's recently come to WordPress from another content management system was asking whether it was just like that he couldn't find it, or whether, you know, there really wasn't a sort of standard front end editing tool for WordPress. And you know, I had to say there really isn't one. I mean, you know, the Editus WP plugin had promise, and nothing's been done with it since it was bought, basically. And it's been an issue that, you know, has received varying degrees of attention and not been successfully solved. And you know, we've had a lot of discussions on this panel about the problems with the WordPress editor, and you know, a decent front end editing solution would certainly go a long way. Because she's like, yeah, I don't want a page builder that does it. I want it, you know, I just want people to be able to edit the content from the front end. And you know, it seems like it should be a small thing, and it's not.
Well, yeah, I totally agree with you. We've had that conversation in the round table recently, haven't we, Sally? But one of the things, you know, don't want to sound too much of a kind of a lover of Beaver Builder, but he was showing how you could lock it down, so it could be so quite easily. I'm not sure of the present version or its version 2.0. You can lock it down where it is just like a front-end editor, where they don't have the facility to actually destroy the actual global design. And yeah, I've got to say, I do sound like a total fanboy, don't I? But I was really impressed with what they do with that plugin, Sallie. It's just, yeah.
Very good. And I didn't see a lot of the presentations because I was kind of floating around, you know, doing the happiness bar and you know, just helping other various things move along. But the ones I saw on Saturday, Tirza M. Johnson's creating an active project management process. Saw most of that. That was actually pretty good. About, you know, working with your clients or working just, you know, managing a project. Thought was really excellent. And then on Saturday, I also saw a presentation by David McCormick from Blast Advanced Marketing. Anyway, about the Yoast SEO plugin, and I know he didn't get to everything. A really good presentation on Yoast and how you use it to focus your content. On Sunday, I also saw James Hipkins' presentation on profitable website development, the Oreo cookie strategy. I thought it was really good. I saw another version of this at the meetup not that long ago, but it was really excellent. And again, it's just kind of a dose of reality of running projects in a way that's going to ensure that you stay in business. And then the other one that I saw was Freelanced Agency Peaks and Pitfalls of Growth by Kevin Howe of 329 Media, which is a very successful agency here in Sacramento. I thought it was really good. It's just good to hear, how other people made that journey. And it doesn't just happen all at once, but it's good to just kind of hear a little bit more about it. One other takeaway that I thought was really awesome. I mean, meeting a lot of people, from all over, different places. Met the guys from Beaver Builder. Found out they're on the same Pokemon Go team as I am, so that was pretty awesome.
Don't need to know anymore, do you? Really, do you, John?
No. There you go. Team Valor. Anyway. But yeah, any other takeaways that anybody else had just from the weekend, not from the presentation, but just meeting people, just anything else?
Well, I think over the I think it's been partially. I was going to say down to me, but that would be unfair. I feel because in the round tables we have a news section, and I go to the leading WordPress news websites, and recently what I felt were the main news stories have been a bit negative about the WordPress community. So I felt because we were covering news, I had the obligation to actually make those part of the news stories of the round table. So recently it's been a bit negative, but by going to WP, going to this WordCamp, you also see the strength of WordPress, that the breadth of subjects, the knowledge, and the willingness of people to share their experiences, and just the quality of people. So it was beneficial for me, because if you just keep reading what is put on the kind of news store, and bad news is good news. Generally, you get more people commenting.
Yeah.
And you can get a false picture a little bit, can't you, John?
You can, because this weekend it showed a lot of the positive things. There was a guy that came from Arkansas, Tate Barber. Shout out Tate. But he did a talk on using Docker for local development, and he had a good time. This is his first WordCamp that he spoke at, and he said it was amazing, and I gotta agree. He wrote a post on Medium. We'll link to that in show notes. But just a lot of people from all over. I'm meeting people from other parts of Northern California. People came from Portland, Seattle, Vancouver, all over to be here, and it's just awesome. So, Sallie.
Yeah, it's you do see. I think you do tend to see the community at its best at events like this, and are reminded about that. I was curious, John, as to whether, from your volunteering experience and being in charge of the happiness bar, whether you had any specific takeaways about that.
Well, it was really interesting. The first half hour or first hour that I was there, really. Shout out to Joe Boydston and Dean Royal and Jose Castaneda, and there's one other volunteer. I don't know her name. I'd give her credit, but they really held it down on the happiness bar, and you on Sunday as well. I seen you there for more than an hour, but you're holding it down. But the first part that I was there, it was just helping people decide what tracks they were gonna see, because there's a lot of beginners, and then there's people who are more technical, and it's just going through it and just knowing what these are was important. But then I seen there's a lot of people. There's a lot more people on the happiness bar this year. coming up than there were last year, and partially because of the way the rooms were. Last year, it wasn't really obvious where the happiness bar was, maybe, and we got almost no traffic. But this year, it was just right out in front. We had a lot more traffic. It was people coming up there all day long, so both days. So I think it's really important for people to be able to, get help and be able to meet WordPress like wherever they're at. Not everybody's a developer. Some people just use Divi to develop their site. And some people are just brand new, but just meet them where they're at. That's the important thing, in business and life and WordPress.
I just got the overall buzz from it. That I don't think from beginner to intermediate to expert. I think there were things that were on offer for you throughout the 2 days. And I just, I was just there on the Saturday, but I just felt that everybody was, the general feeling I was getting was that, you could ask almost anything on the happiness bar, and you get a respectful answer. And I generally got the feeling that most people were having a good time, weren't they, John?
Most definitely. Kim, takeaways.
I thought the ones I saw in the topics, I thought you did have a good mix of for business, etc. Technical versus business, because a lot of people that come to this, it's not even that they're new developers, they're solopreneurs. They're a small business person just looking to learn something. And I know I had several people approach me before my talk and say just that. I'm not a techie, I'm a business person. Am I going to understand anything you say? And I said, yes, this is actually much minimal tech, what I talk about in this presentation, as it turns out. But I thought overall there was a lot of that there, and a lot of people that I talked to were more business people and beginners, even who came and followed up with questions afterwards. And they felt, again, included in the community. Definitely the community at its best, as Sallie said.
Yeah, no, I agree with Kim. I thought, to blow my own trumpet, what I was relieved, John, was when I did my lightning presentation, was the amount of people afterwards that came and asked me questions about podcasting and about some of the things I discussed in my presentation, which is always a good sign that you kind of hit some of the audience interest by the amount of people afterwards that come and ask you questions, isn't it, John?
No, and I just want to give you a shout out too. You did a really great presentation on podcasting with WordPress. And, there's a lot that people have because people are interested in finding out how to get a podcast started on WordPress, or, how to just, get into it. And before I was involved, as I am with this, I still had a lot of questions, and I still am learning stuff all the time because, it's a whole nother thing. And I think you did a really excellent job in explaining a lot of things and answering some of those questions that people might have.
Yeah, well, it's hard to give a good lightning talk because you just don't have a lot of time.
Well, you're so right, Sallie, because I did practice quite considerably on the timing aspect of it, because I had 9 slides and you've got 1 minute per slide, so you've got to... but it was most strange, Sallie, because when you're actually there, something happened to the time. Even though I practiced quite considerably, the time just seemed to disappear. It seemed to be on a quicker bandwidth than when I was practicing at home.
I've had that happen, yes.
I don't know what quite that's about. I think we better wrap this up, John, because we could continue forever, and we said we were going to keep it around 40 minutes, didn't we?
Nope, yeah, and you know what? So it was a great event. And we're going to be doing it again in May 2017. It's either going to be the first week or the third week. That's what I've heard so far.
Oh, wow. That's really soon.
So that because all the other ones like Las Vegas, LAX, and OC are, within a month. So, eliminate the competition.
Yes. Well, it's true. It's, having having too many WordCamps to attend in a row is definitely going to limit both, who you might get to speak and who you might get to attend. Because as much fun as it would be to go to a WordCamp like every weekend, that's just not practical.
Yeah, you people make their choices. They can't go everywhere like in the whole year, so they make choices. So hopefully we'll be on the itinerary for some additional people from California next year.
Right. Well, I'll definitely be there.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Before I let everybody tell us where to find them, I want to remind people, if you're getting value from this podcast, be sure to go to iTunes, subscribe, and most importantly, leave us a review, preferably 5 stars. That helps other people find this podcast and, just push us up a little bit more in the iTunes rankings. So.
And I like to say that I will be reading any new reviews, and I might actually read them on the show as well, John, might we?
Most definitely. All right. So with that, let the panel tell us where to find themselves. Sallie, how do we get a hold of you?
You can find me at WPFangirl.com. I am at Sallie Getch on Twitter, and basically, if you can spell my name, you can find me. I am unique on the internet.
Excellent. Kim, how do we get a hold of you?
You can find me at howtobuildononlinecourse.com or on Twitter at Kim Shivler.
Very nice. Jonathan, how do we get a hold of you?
Oh, it's quite easy, folks. I'm a bit like an online rash. Not bad, I'm quiet. You can find me by emailing me at jonathan@wp-tonic.com. I do read my email about twice a day. And or Twitter. I'm pretty active on Twitter. Plan to be a bit more active, actually, at Jonathan Denwood. And they're the main 2 ways of getting hold of me, John.
Very good. And you can find me at my website, which is lockdowndesign.com. And you can also find me on Twitter, lockdown_. For WP-Tonic, thank you so much for tuning in. In our next episode, we're going to do a spotlight episode on our own Sallie Getch, the WP fangirl. So I hope you'll tune in for that. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.